That's a title. Renegade Seed dropped in the comments. And indeed, where do these things come from? I have no idea, but I want to welcome you to Flat Earth Nation, Golden Age Past, because the mud flood was Armageddon. Wow. The mud flood was the Armageddon. Don't let them tell you anything else unless they're willing to debate you in a fair and honest way. Some of you may recognize this new backdrop here. These are the stones. I kind of washed them in a little sulfuric acid, cleaned them off, and then photographed them underneath a spectrum light, unretouched. That's their photo, and we'll see. I got a bunch of them. Uh, so much going on. So I wanted to do this last night, and I had to had a trouble, uploading the pictures that will be looking. But as I have spent the rest of the last night and the day in peace, I wanted to start this show at 10 o'clock. It didn't happen. Welcome, Sister Marcella. I think everyone is going to be so happy with these. I think we should look at the pictures. Look at the pictures I took. I found the rocks. Well, we'll look at how I found them, and you maybe depends. Am I sharing? You know what? I need to. I cannot, and I wasn't sharing. Oh, thank you, Father, because that would be. I did that too recently to go down that road again. Check it out. So there they are. There's the banding of the metacardial band. They call it the heart. I call it the Gordian knot. We have untied it with the Holy Spirit. And here's the other spinning. So this would, two opposite ends of this is starting the spin, and this is full compression. This is full tighten that muscle. And the glittering sword hit them. They're reserved in judgment in a fraction of a second. Wow. That's what we're looking at. Well, I saved this as a background. Here's that. Okay, you could say if you don't want to believe that that's meat, it reserved in judgment. You can believe it got blown up in the Big Bang. If you don't think that doesn't look like a Cinnabon muffin, but it's a spinning heart. I cut it in half. I did a bunch of work on these yesterday. Glad I got these pictures. So am I, because this rock does not look like this anymore. Oh, Father, I pray I can meet this person. I pray they repented during the flood and they are this gemstone rock reserved in judgment will make it. Look at there's something going on here. You've seen how with the right acids and things, I'll break it out. Cinnabon is yummy, huh? Well, it's olive oil, so it probably wouldn't taste like the Cinnabon. It looks like butter and yummy, but it's a rock. Stop it. You cannot eat it. I know it looks yummy. Oh my goodness, did I cut this rock in half? I did. And it was a pain in the butt. But it did show that these lines, are spinning one way on the other side. Remember, and now they're going up. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. Look at some of these things look so cool, right? Look at that. There's a little something there, something going on there. Too many reflections. But, that makes a lot of good spots. It focused on a lot of good spots, but there was going to be reflections no matter how I held the camera. Same with this one. Now here is where your left ventricle would have been detached, this area here. So it's not smooth like this. This was connected to, a major vein, and it just pulls right off there. Look at these little, oh, it's it's a little brick. This is how the bricks get in there for the big ones, not the small ones. This is a small Nephilim, barely bigger than you or me. Well, yeah, see how these lines, you'll see some more when I cut it in half. Something going on here, huh? Kind of different. Now, why take them in portrait if it still shows them and like you held the camera sideways? There's those lines. I'm not sure if that is from the olive oil or not. Just to get a little glimmering coat on it to make it not look like a dusty rock. I want to try to make it look like what it is, marbly meat. That's in a full twist with a helical heart. You saw how this meets on the other side, right? In a V shape. That's just thought you'd want to see the tip of it. Doesn't that kind of look like a chicken leg disconnected there? There was another portal for the vein artery transitional stages. Is that a better picture? The other yeah. Okay. So there's the other one. All I did really was dip this one in acid. It's cube shaped Cinnabon. It was a heart like that opened from the chestahedron, and when it gets cut open, you can still see there's some. I didn't have time to clean up both sides. Okay, I did the best I could on these. I was pressed for time. This was supposed to go live at about 9 o'clock last night. This is cut off here because this is when you unwind the helical heart, the mitochondrial band, this is, it's got to terminate somewhere. So this is a shaved off portion of those lines that were running down. We're kind of like straightening out on this portion. Because they meet in the middle, and then when you unwind them, they'll be straight. So that this rock was so much harder to cut and to drill, so that you could get a look on the inside and see that as you go down it's only showing different parts of it. Appreciate what you did for me, big brother, when you drill those big rocks. Just drilling these small rocks just wears me out. We were much younger then, though. That's probably how come. I mean, you didn't look that tired, but I was. So this isn't cut in half. Well, just portioned. See how that perfectly fits in there like it would in your body? Because it is somebody's body. Ooh, there's that core. I didn't have time to clean that up, but I thought would be able to see. Got it right there, crossing in the middle. This is for this. This is just leaning up against the other rock. I thought if something jumped out at me, I would have. Once again, this picture could have been worse, but I'm not sure how. All right, so we ended on a clunker there. That last picture was not the best. I get it. Okay, let's keep going here. I got to show that other. Oh, I got other pictures probably that are in the downloads. These will be the ones that I downloaded so that we can be like, hey, this is what I'm going to talk about. This was almost the thumbnail. Or was this was a recent thumbnail. What's with that title today? Does anybody have any idea? I mean, scar tissue in heaven. That's not clickbait. I know that Jesus is healed. Obviously, Thomas, the great declarer of my Lord and my God, when he talked about Jesus, I prefer that version of the Apostle Thomas, not doubting Thomas. I mean, to me, it's kind of like, well, Peter and those guys didn't believe the women at first either. It's not like Thomas is the bad guy. Epigenetics. I guess these are things I studied while I was getting this. I had the show ready, so I could just do this other studying, and along with this working out that I've been doing, I want to get in better shape. So I watched this video. It was her voice. I just couldn't take it. Sorry, Mina. You just don't sing to me when you're talking. This one I saved so that Vara could see it. On Monday, we normally talk to a young man from Finland who has intelligent questions. So this is serious. Oh, it even says seriously wounded young 12-year-old. Two of them in Finland from a far right sympathizer. Pick on somebody your own size. This guy was 33 years old. Who would have thought? I guess we're going to. The Congressional Record of the United States, House Bill 1523 won't get it. So I added from 1913 because I searched this so many different ways and then finally got it this way. When all of a sudden, you know how you have to be quick to turn this off. But this one said certainly, and then all of a sudden it started agreeing once you got it down that it's all about this Jesuit oath of induction. It doesn't get into its bloodthirstiness, but not a time-consuming. But Dr. Alberto Rivera, a big part of my life in the 19th. I would say 80, not in any of the 70s. I ran into his story when I was already at Fort Bragg. So that would have been mid to late 1980 at the least. And I noticed I highlighted this part to the four quarters of the globe. And this is supposed to be, we're supposed to believe that this oath from Loyola, they already were pushing the globe. That would have only been, I probably won't be that close, but 75, 80 years after Copernicus and that Galileo. And well, I meant Galileo because I think Galileo, wasn't that 14 something? Too much time on one picture. So here was somebody doing it. So now the Jewish war does not mention the torn veil. Okay, he's talking about Josephus's book doesn't mention the torn veil. If anything else, if you've tuned in this long, thank God that you get to hear me say the book of Josephus is a hoax. It doesn't fit Golden Age theology that anybody should look at that book. That history was done. They've gone reset. There wasn't a guy recounting the war and this and that for the other nations all around, because that goes against everything if you want to be a part of the Golden Age past, the Mudflood theology. It will not work. Look at this is what they want to tell you. Well, Jerusalem's destruction prior to the Jewish war does not mention the torn veil actually happening. And Josephus, who was very careful to list all the portents, how? He would have been judged. You think he was saved? Or he was in a hill hiding? The only people that made it were the ones in the hills? Fall on me. Is there any evidence that the Israelites were in Egypt? There is no indication that the Israelites ever lived in what they call ancient Egypt. I was busy all day. Are the three Abraham religions complicit in a cover up? The Exodus hoax. Come on. It's the Jewish and the Islamic religion today were manufactured to be pit against each other as the only two crazy religions that don't believe in a trinity are completely nuts. But we know that Abraham had no idea what they were talking about. If anybody would have tried to describe a trinity to him, am I using the good English? I hope I am. Huh. Somebody's talking about a paradigm shift, huh? This is from yesterday or the 10th, a few days ago. The financial world is bracing for a significant upheaval following Saudi Arabia's decision not to renew its 50-year petrodollar deal with the United States. It ended on Sunday, a week from mañana. In Espanol, tomorrow. ¿Cómo se dice tomorrow in Espanol? Mañana. Sunday the 9th. So if everybody was wondering, why is it taking so long? What's going on? Paco, you've been saying it's going to happen now, but it might not. But what makes you think something? Well, they're nothing if not bound to their little treaties. And now that the petrodollar deal with the United States that was, finalized 50 years ago, it's over. Over. Don't worry, they've got it under control. They've got the guiding spirit of the colonialization schemes being none other than Lord Bacon. Yes, that Francis Bacon. Oh, he's the Francis Bacon. He's the friend of Thomas Jefferson. Locke, Newton, and Bacon, they were the men that were considered the greatest three men that ever lived. Huh. Better than not discounting our Lord and Savior Messiah, Emmanuel. Not what about Moses? What about Job? Better than Noah? Huh? David? Come on. What are they talking about? Thomas Jefferson, you are completely mental. And you're giving it to Francis Bacon because he was the colonialization schemes, the slavery minded things at the end of the. And they also believed that Bacon was primarily attracted to men. Several authors believe that. They think his marriage was a sham Forker, for example, has explored the historically documentable sexual. I got to spit that one out there because I was thinking about how hard it's going to be for some of you to take the King James one with the where we're going. Have been brought. For example, he has explored this historically documentable sexual preferences of both Francis Bacon and King James I, and concluded they were both oriented to, in quotes, because that's important, what they called masculine love, close quote, a contemporary term that, open quote, seems to have been used exclusively to refer to the sexual preferences of men for members with members of other members in their own mouth of their own gender. Not just like, what's that, you know, I mean, and then they go for it again, and then again, and then they talk other people into it. And then it gets even worse because the well connected antiquary John Avery, everybody knows him. All these guys got their own Wikipedia page. Noted in his brief lives concerning Bacon, he was a what? No way, a pederast? He has even names and uh, pederast in Renaissance dictum meant generally homosexual. Didn't, oh, it did, meant generally, rather than specifically a lover of minors. Whatever, what Ganymede derives from the mythical prince abducted by Zeus to be his cup bearer and bed warmer. What? But the Jacobean antiquarians, the Bacon's fellow members of parliament, implied there had been a question of bringing him to trial for what they call buggery in the footnotes number 69, and that's not buggery, which his brother, Tony Bacon, had been charged with. Doesn't say he was convicted. We don't know. I've never seen a hunter-gatherer skull with crooked teeth. Huh. Shifted gears on you, didn't I? Well, these are the pictures, screenshots. Spoiler alerts. Earth is from 3.8 billion miles away. There's a picture of it. And here's a guy with a robot voice, the Divine Council exegesis of Psalm 82, that just does a wonderful job. I mean, he does a great job. And then at the very end, he gets into this. It's like, but don't forget, we still love NASA. How did it turn on me? Same thing, talking about the earth is a disk covered with a dome. That's what, the ancient cultural assumption. But what Psalm 104 and Genesis 1 actually means is humans are the image of God and meant to rule. Huh? What? Psalm 82 means the allotment of nations to celestial beings, with God taking his own people as his own allotment. Okay. What's wrong with that assumption based on what it's talking about? But he wants to say, no, what it really means is God cares about human suffering because, the Elohims, the other bad Elohims, were not doing it right. They weren't caring about the widows and orphans. They were showing preference in other things. In the days of old, the gods had the whole earth distributed among them by allotment. Well, even Plato knew that. Everybody knew that back in the day. So this guy here, I still don't get where he dropped in all of a sudden after an excellent, I would say, read essay, and then he just shows a picture out of nowhere going like, and we're still a billion miles from, hey, This was another one. I was just brushing up on my. Was this from the other day? Did we do the palabras and things already? I can't remember. Did I show this? I think I wanted to show these pictures when I was talking about the palabras and the vortexes and the chestahedron and the hearts and stuff. So add these. Oh, here, look at this one. Remember when this flaps open like this? Remember when those old videos when, when it's fully opened, it looks like that stone propeller from Egypt. Well, everything is a body part. It's an aorta. Been talking about it for darn near a decade now. I don't have any pictures of what they call the shy stone or the Egyptian propeller, but if you're interested, it's not that hard. You know what? Probably only go find a Eric Van Daniken book. He's going to say, "This is so perfectly made. How is it so smooth?" Yeah, it was from this guy. So let's keep rolling here. Hey, Sergio, if you want to pop on, you can hit that. Yeah. Thank you. Well, good. Yeah, the skeletal teeth. Yeah, let's see what we got here. I got to close these tabs out. I'm glad I'm sharing because the other day I went for 10 minutes.
In the shadowy corridors of power, where secrets lurk and
Did I ever do that one thing I said I had to do? I just went straight to the downloads, didn't I? Here, look at this. This is a big helper because it lets you realize, even though I'm already not monetized and I am already allowing all of my work to be shared because this is an educational, not an entertainment site from
alliances shift like sand, Sir Francis Bacon moved with ease. As a key figure in the court of King James I, he wielded influence that stretched far and wide, touching the realms of academia and religion. With his keen intellect and insatiable curiosity, Bacon was drawn to the scholars and translators.
Writings encompassing essays, philosophical works, and scientific treatises.
Yuck.
By popularizing the essay as a literary form in English with his collection essays, Bacon covered a wide array of topics with his concise and memorable style. His profound statements like knowledge is power have become part of everyday language, showcasing his ability to simplify complex ideas. Furthermore, Bacon's scientific and philosophical vocabulary, introduced in works like Novum Organum and The Advancement of Learning, has been instrumental in shaping.
Look at, they're pederasts. They like to go and you know what makes them happy? Bed warmers or something. But everybody loves him. He's still famous because he's so smart. Look, his magnifying glass has a pen. Oh man, I wish I hadn't seen that. See, now I covet it.
Enigmas of life, piercing through the shroud of ignorance to provide a chilling glimpse into the harsh realities of our being. In the shadows of power and authority, where men of influence and intellect converge.
You know, I know a lot of you guys are thinking she's cute. But Francis Bacon and James the One? Wasn't happening. They didn't think that.
Francis Bacon treaded a path of acquaintance with the prominent figures of his time.
I think that's no way.
Lancelot Andrews, with his position in the translation of the King James Bible directly to the Bible's translation.
That's the worst sounding audio ever. Science and Power, Francis Bacon, 1500s, 1600s, evicted from office for taking a bribe, faked his death 4 years later. He wrote this book called The Advancement of Learning, pioneering essay in the support of empirical philosophy. Let's say, empiricism means you've seen it, you know it works. it's repeatable and all of that. You can stand up to any rational, skeptical argument. The following passage was used as the foreword to a popular Cambridge textbook, so that as tennis is a game of no use in itself, but of great use in respect it maketh a quick eye and a body ready to put itself in all positions. So in the mathematics, the use which is collateral and intervenient is no less worthy than that which is a principle and intended. Huh. Got anything weird on your title page? No, something weird or different. I mean, that's normal for us. We see it every day. Sun and the moon, that could be two pillars, kind of two pointed pillars. Hmm. Nice. Those are our letters. That's how we spell famous and illustrious. And they did too. Okay, they had different letter for science, but that could have been for panache. How about that Francis Bacon, man? He's everywhere. He's their guy. He had the fake death theory. Various authors have written that there were indications that Francis Bacon had gone into debt while secretly funding. He had made all that money and was the most famous man in the world, but he spent it all publishing materials for the Freemasons, the Rosicrucians, and the CIA. Oh, wait, that has something to do with my theory, the CIA, the John Birch Society. That's another name for it. But they weren't called that then, so we're going to stick with what they had in 1623. Possibly 623. You know, a lot of weird things going on back then. Is that all I had on that? What is this? What is the cult theories about Francis Bacon? Well, he was many people that love theosophy claim Francis Bacon and just talk about him all the time like he's the greatest thing that ever worked. They mention Helen Blavatsky. She loves it. It's like, where would they be without him? Because he is recognized as by everybody as being the greatest thing that ever existed besides the King James one, even though they were both preterists, from what I understand. I've heard English philosopher, statesman, scientist, jurist, author, member of secret societies. Small number claimed that he would have attained the ascension, became like Jesus or what they call Saint Germain. It's just they actually think he became this. Faked his death and became that. And then he has all these alleged connections to the Rosicrucian. I'm not saying where there's smoke, there's fire, because people say that about me all the time. And even though there's no smoke, no fire, they'll provide the smoke and say, fire. It's happened before. But don't worry. I'm ready to go. I got, so far, the Lord has kept me pretty much above the reproach, as they say. Hosted banquets. So they gave him a house because they were in love. In 1618, Francis Bacon decided to secure a lease for a York house. Wow. This had been his boyhood home in London. Wow, he was rich. Next to the Queen's York Palace. Well, that's nice too. Before the Bacon family had moved to Gorhambury in the countryside. His dad was the Lord Keeper of the Great Seal. When he died, it became available to Bacon. He said, I want to lease it. It was so big it had 40 fireplaces. I'm surprised it didn't have 33. He's a Rosicrucian, man. With Francis Bacon, they wrote it's all a cult. They wrote.
For this reason,
I couldn't just do nothing while I was waiting for this show. So here's some of their claims. The claim that Stratford legend is well documented as a two-edged sword. In some way, the actor's uninspiring life story is too well documented. The truth that is the, in quotes, documented allusions to Shakespeare fall into two distinct categories and need to be classified accordingly. Concrete allusions to the family affairs, business activities of the actor and moneylender are quite distinct from the more fanciful allusions to the writer of drama. Anyway, it goes on. If you study this, nobody believed it ever. From the beginning, they always doubted and always had considerable and to consider the evidence for Francis Bacon, the second most well-known pederast, and only slightly ahead of Julius Caesar. Wasn't he a known pederast? I think. Well, that's like saying, do people that go to the spring break like to go to the beach? They do, almost all of them. So that's enough. I'm closing that one. We got the Francis Bacon to death. What was the whole Renaissance magic that he was a part of? Here's some woodcuts. See, what's he walking on? I don't think he's walking on sunshine. There's some ceremonial magic. There's a glancing blow, a look, a mean look. Bet you there's a lot of things hidden in there. There you go. There's another. A lot of red in that one, huh? Come on, man. Where's the medieval magic? Magic. Faustian magic. Portrait of Agrippa. No, get me from this side. What is that ear? Are you going to show me? Not much help. Not much help. I don't see a year there, or whatever that is. It kind of looks like that is almost my initials of the. Oh man, I'd like to know how many times I've had to put my initials on things. Buku. Let's just brush ourselves up on it. Actually, during the Renaissance period, magic and occult practices underwent significant changes that reflected shifts in cultural, intellectual, and religious perspectives. The antinomian C.S. Lewis, in his work on English literature, highlighted the transformation in how magic was perceived and portrayed. Yeah, like a horse in his prince or something like that. Kind of weird, right? Spencer, Marlowe, Chapman, Shakespeare, all one person, maybe. Who knows? Let's have it, man. Closing that out. I got to go. A lot of stuff.
A stunning verdict in a South Florida federal court.
Hi, Chiquita Banana.
Chiquita, the banana giant, found liable by a U.S. jury for funding a so-called Colombian death squad.
Don't forget this. Don't forget that. I know we did that the other day. Hey, Vara, ¿qué pasa? He's loading up.
Man? Came to say hi. I'm on my way home on the train.
Oh, you are. Here, just give me 1 second to comment on soy-free thoughts. Alan, are you familiar with Subtle Infinity Channel? Yes. I like that he always uses that quote that just because someone exposes a lie doesn't mean they're telling you the truth, to replace it. So back to you, man. You're on the train, huh? And you got a lot of passengers around you looking at you going like, what are you doing, man?
Just a quick run through. I got a delicious, beautiful pizza pie here waiting for me. I'll show you. This is from work. Here you go.
That's where you work?
I do, like, sometimes I work in different places every week.
Okay, and then this time you got a pizza out of the deal, I see.
Yeah, that's the benefits of working at the restaurant business.
Hey,
How you
what's
been
up with
doing?
this? What happened here, buddy? Can you see that? Can you see the screen I'm showing you?
Yeah.
Neo-Nazi knife men attacked 2 children, leaving 12-year-old seriously wounded at a Finnish shopping center.
Oh,
This
when is
happened
this from?
yesterday. Yesterday,
Okay.
late
'Cause I
at
don't
night.
follow the news, so I don't
Right-wing
never hear about
sympathizer
this.
attacked 2 Finnish children at a shopping center.
Yeah, that sounds like an Arab.
He
Yeah,
was
that's
Sebastian Lamsa, 33, a former key member of a banned neo-Nazi group, the Nordic Resistance Movement.
Pohjoismainen vastarintaliitto. Yes, this
And of
was
course, he's going to be
banned.
30.
Of course, of course. They know what they're doing. It's just distractions.
I think so. I think that it's just a lot of distractions here. But I'm closing out tabs. If you want to chime in, you feel free to chime in. We're gonna let's see. Did I close? So we close out the Bible. The Chiquita banana. Finally, people in around the world and Finland and the United States have about 400 million. Not much statistically comparable to what they claim to be about 8 billion people in the world. But so the 8 billion, what's left minus the Finland and United States population, are finding out, man, those guys treated anybody of color really bad. And I do have to apologize because I forgot to put this
It's
on
just
the
the white
record.
folks.
Excuse me. Check this out.
Just the white folks. That's all they want to get rid of.
Yeah, they want to. I'm sure. Who's they? the people of color. Why would they do that? Well, probably because wherever the white people have gone, they've genocided everybody and said, "Now we run this place." Here's what I wanted to put into the record. We are
With the Lord's
to
permission.
be. Oh, I think I already read that part. Some are born seeds, while created spirits remain same in the world. We seeds are being possibly prepared to live true life for our new eternity, surrounded by humans. That's what I am, and you, that have allegedly taken death vows. I'm talking about, and I'm going to go over the death vow of the Jesuits. Most people have heard about the death vows of the Freemasons, and I'm sure that the other secret societies like the Jesuits, Freemasons, and the Pythagoreans, their math cult back in the day, if you told them how to spread too much of their sacred geometry or even said that math doesn't answer all questions in the world, death sentence. What's with these people that think they can just kill other humans?
Well, that's how this whole mess started, right? With Pythagoras, this whole sphere ball mess. A bunch of old Greek dudes talking about balls while they're in there taking baths.
Yeah,
But yeah, math is really the language, the secret language of this simulation, I think.
I think so. So we got that covered with the bananas. The rest of the world is going to be all over and proving that we shouldn't have been using the petrodollar. I had this pulled up.
His name, or Jerusalem was a different place altogether. We're going to talk more about that in a minute, but another example of how city names used to be different different people and different languages would have different names for the same city. This is a French map showing London, England in 1754, and the French called it Londres, which Famiko speculates as land of the Rez, the Russians. And he has a lot more research to back up that claim because he shows where a dynastic Russian family fled to England. If you've studied history at all, you know that usually the royal family, whoever's ruling a land, isn't even from there. I mean, wasn't it?
So many times you run into that, like Cleopatra was the first Greek person that spoke Egyptian, but they ran it for hundreds of years. All of this will make sense when I tie it in later to about tracking our translations. So this is remnants of the tetrahedron, and then the new stuff is I needed to find out about, I mistyped the Wiseman, but it's still new. I wanted to look up the Weissman barrier. Closed. The Weissman barrier, proposed, never proven, but taken as proven, is the strict distinction, never proven, that there is an immortal germ cell lineages producing what they call gametes. And then there is also disposable somatic cells in animals, but not plants. Now, this is in contrast to Charles Darwin's proposed pangenesis mechanism for inheritance. I am telling you that in 1892, there was no other reason for this theory and this barrier to be proposed but never proven, except if anybody down the road, say in 2024, where 40% of the scientists are already on record saying, you know what, Darwinism's stupid. How did we ever fall for this? They would have the Wiseman barrier to back that up with another theory of evolution. And, the big takeaway that they like to go is like, oh no, we're perfecting Darwinism. We're not throwing it out. They just still have to love it. Yeah, we got that. Waiting for this show, I decided, it says like, if you know these words, your English is excellent. Who doesn't know the word bleak? Daunting. Is that really what the world is learning today? That these are hard words, man. They even use it in
Meaning
sense.
of this word. What do you think it means?
Come on,
Undaunted. The entire 7 hours plus the full facts.
Look, this is supposed to be another hard word. If you don't, wow, it's an egregious act. This one's so hard they even have to show people using it in a sentence.
Egregious act of theft, of the state stealing their land and redistributing it.
Again, just unacceptable and egregious, and it should.
Who these are their hard words?
Big sound, and we stress the first syllable, hapless.
Wow. Another hard word?
That's called a voiceless consonant. The vowel sound before a voiceless consonant is generally shorter. Listen again.
We have a saying here in Finland. A lovable child has many names.
Exactly. And we have many different ways to pronounce them, like adamant. It's another, to me, that's a common word, callous. These are not hard words, but they're really focusing on pronunciation as being important. And I'm going to tie it into, because after the recent reset, when Satan was loosed in 1711, people had been not having nations. Part of the problem with nation building for Satan is, getting people to understand each other. Everybody talk fun, and man, they got to get languages normalized. Here is that. Jesuit extreme oath of induction. I'm just going to show you, you know, that this is a real thing. I mean, look how long this is. This is absolutely crazy. And it does have that, you know, when opportunity presents, make and wage relentless war, secretly, openly, against all heretics, Protestants and liberals. I will hang, waste, boil, flay, strangle, and bury alive these infamous heretics, rip up their stomachs and wombs of their women, crush their infants' heads. So I guess that this is all is pretty much a fact. It's been read into the record of the House bill. I think I showed, and you know, a lot of people believe it. Here's some Calvinists, but they're also, you know, into they're proud to be Confederates. The Southern way of life to them is great, you know, and the gospel, they present the gospel in the way I, you know, would have called it myself as a Calvinist, somebody who believes that God predestined and elected people. What is this? Do I look up just fourth vow blood oath? Well, even Cat GPD knows that it's a religious solemn vow taken by members of various religious institutions. Nothing going to be here about
Wow.
slay them alive. You know, it's just, it's obviously something that is true. They're going to leave out the, you know, the boil them alive, but, you know, Chat GPT can't deny there it is. It's also in, I think I have the, okay, this is just another version of once you get to the blood oath, you go, you have taken this other vow, and now you're going to be moving on to the higher levels. So you will, in addition to your former oath of obedience, now, and these people are all put on the spot, same in the Freemason. You are being put under a blood oath of death yourself if you don't carry these out. And so they go back over the whole thing, you know, but it goes back to the womb of the virgin, the matrix of God, the rod of Jesus. What? This is the type of nonsense. And
The
then, you know,
rod.
hang, burn, waste, flay. That's where you get to this part. And they're going, you know, what are they going to do? They've already made a death vow. If they don't go forward, it's like, well, I guess you know what's waiting for you, you know? How did you find out about this? He says, a venerable man with white hair. How? With a naked dagger. I kneeling upon the cross beneath the banners of the Pope and of our sacred order. Did you take the vow? I did take the oath. I did, to destroy heretics and their governments and rulers, and to spare neither age nor sex nor condition, that I'll be like a dead man without an opinion, will of my own, but to implicitly obey my superiors in all things without hesitation or murmuring. Will you do that? His answer had better be, I will. And then again with the, where will you travel to do it? To the four corners of the globe. Again, we know it's a recent transition to the globe thing that, but I guess in the Roman church, who claimed that they persecuted Galileo and then went, oh, shucks, there's nothing we can do but agree. They've been into it the whole time, man. All right.
The earth is flat like my pizza.
So the Society of Jesus, they are basically, you know, the fourth vow is the solemn vow. After a period of time of service, you get a chance to be like, okay, and now you're going to take a death vow, or you're going to go kill people for us as a hitman. And well, there's other fourth vows people. We probably heard of the Franciscans. I didn't know that the Sisters of Mercy, who knows what type of Red Sparrow type situations they're getting into. These all have religious oaths. All of these are religious oath type situations. Wow. An oath against modernism. 1910. Okay.
I'll take that.
Very timely. Keeping rolling here. The Society of Jesus subcategories. Well, they got them all. They're everywhere. They are everywhere, brainwashing us to accept the Trinity. Pygmalion was written by well, he's kind of admitted he might be in a league with Francis Bacon and King James I, and they're penchant for boys. But he was very famous and good at math, so everybody loved him. He wrote a play called The Pygmalion, and there also is a mythology of Pygmalion. We'll look at them both now. We'll start with the myth. He is most familiar, Pygmalion, from Ovid's narrative poem Metamorphosis, in which Pygmalion was a sculptor who fell in love with a statue he had carved. That's weird. According to Ovid, when Pygmalion saw Propitius of Cyprus practicing prostitution, he began detesting the faults beyond measure which nature had given to women. Well, she's selling herself to somebody else who probably is equally as bad in my book. He determined to remain celibate because probably didn't really, probably thinking about boys as the way he looked, and to occupy himself with sculpting. I shouldn't say that because he fell in love with the statue. Pygmalion kisses and finally, whoa. Okay, we got the Aphrodite Festival. Pygmalion made offerings. Oh, wow, the likeness of my ivory girl. Okay, that's weird. Okay, weird stuff. And look, wow, it just keeps going. I guess everybody in the world is into Pygmalion at one time. They all wrote about it, talked about it, were into it. It just keeps going. Wow, Pygmalion. The Man from U.N.C.L.E. talked about it. I used to like that show. I remember when it was brand new. You can see everybody did it. If you don't know about Pygmalion, why? The play, though, is about someone who tracked accents, could tell where people lived, anywhere in London. And he was going to take an average girl and teach her to speak the correct language of the nobility and pass her off as a duchess. And he did it because he was funded, and it was so true. And it was just a realization that the reason that the nobles were noble is because how they could talk and write and understand the sacred scriptures. He found them. And now this is Rex Harrison and Julie Andrews. Where's the one that somehow I got to go to my history? Maybe I have that one from last night when I was watching the Pygmalion. And man, that guy was a ding dong. I didn't like the way he talked. Nope, that wasn't it. That was afterwards when I was really into it. Looking up all that Pygmalion stuff. You got to see this one little clip Francis Bacon.
I guess I gotta look into Pygmalion a little bit.
Yeah,
There's so much.
it's the deal. Now, somehow,
Seems like an interesting character.
because there were two other movie things I was going to show. And they're important. So let me just see. I had so much trouble getting my audio transferred here.
I do that so many times. Like I come across something really interesting on the internet somewhere, and I forget to bookmark it, and it's really important for later mention since
I found one of them. So if I don't find the Pygmalion, I'll bring it back when RJ's on and go over it again because it's good. Like I said, though, I already have the first one. And if I can find that where he just really gets, we're in the area now. Dude, it was from the early 30s. Here we go.
I myself am a student of Indian dialects. Are you? Yes. Have you ever heard of Colonel Pickering, the author of Spoken Sanskrit? I am Colonel Pickering. No. Yes. Who are you? Henry Higgins. No. Yes, the author of Higgins' Universal.
And so he just figured out.
yes.
Be no better than to spoil a poor girl's cars and run away without
So
Gentlemen, he's a blooming busybody, that's what he is. How are all your people down in Chelsea? How do you come to be so far east? You were born in Liston Grove.
Oh, but what almost am I leaving Liston Grove? It wasn't fit for a pig to live in, and I had to pay 4 and 6 a week.
Live where you like, but for heaven's sake, stop making that noise. Come, no one's going to harm you. You've a perfect right to live where you please. Brockman, for instance.
I'm a good girl, I am.
Here, do you know where I come from? Hoxton. Well, who said I didn't? Blimey, you know everything, you do. Where's your warrant? Yes. Just in time to take liberties with a gentleman. Yes.
So he names all of the towns. And then he meets the guy. He came to town to fund his language study. How that's a plot contrivance.
And that your language is the language of Milton, Shakespeare, and the Bible. Don't sit there crooning like a bilious pigeon.
Oh!
Ow! Hems, what a sound. You see this creature with her curbstone English? The English that will keep her in the gutter for the rest of her days? Well, sir, in 3 months I could pass her off as a duchess at an ambassador's reception. No. Yes, I could even get her a job as a lady's maid or a shop assistant, which requires bettering.
Well, isn't that great? She'd be treated like she could live with normal white people because everything else was gutted to them. Because after the reset to form nations, you had to, and everyone in every nation, Finland, the United States, and Canada, they all have different accents that had to get ironed out, even so that, because English is the language. It's you want to fly in a jet plane, they know English. That's was made to be that way. And when the United States falls, English will not. It's already entrenched. So there's that.
Yeah, we have many accents here.
Day was
Check
when
this
everybody
out,
was alive in the
Tara.
first place. Judgment Day was a day of deliverance. It's kind of like, Sunday when you get the Times delivered. Time was sacred. They'd ring a bell in the morning, they'd ring a bell in the evening, and those moments would change a little, but basically, the rhythm of their era was so different from ours that I don't think that we could even imagine it.
All right. Now, is Paco
Something with those
recommending a
bells.
movie called Mind Walk about a Sam Watterson just lost the election? So there's a very famous actors in it, And the reason I'm recommending it is look what's in the background. This movie is going to take place at one of the most famous places in fossil mud flood history. And it's all filmed right here. I watched parts of it last night. The Lord, after I couldn't do the stone presentation, I'm there. Well, I like to look at old movies, and a lot of them show architecture, and the Heavenly Father had spared me, and I've never seen which was made by famous people, and so they just walked there.
What about the theater? Did you give that up for good? Oh, man, giving me up for good.
So they basically are having midlife crises, and they're old friends, but they're having a midlife crisis here.
It's up here. After you.
Seems like very interesting.
And when we stop to think that they added 1,000 years, these buildings are still here, and they just needed a little fixing up. This was the world our Messiah, Emmanuel, lived in. And this is the world we've always lived in. This is what we see as what we got. And if people want to just see what, people were living in the time of Christ, this is it.
I mean, these are women. Why can't you just say what's patriarchal is what's evil in both men and women and let it go at that? There's plenty of that to go around. Unless, of course, you happen to believe that these women were brainwashed by men like Patty Hearst.
Why are you so scornful? Look, there are two great principles functioning in this entire living world. The male principle, pick the adjective, the aggressive, dominating, whatever, and the female.
So how new are they? This is how they presented it and where they presented it to the people who believed her side of the story. They won. They won, and we're set for what is happening.
It also travels as particles.
Light is both particles and waves?
Yes. But the particles of light, which we call photons, are of a very special kind. Unlike other particles, they never stand still.
They're immortal. All right. So
It's
we found
magic.
that. It's magic. Magic. And it all goes back, we got these same people. Immanuel Kant, he's supposed to be religious, but he can't do it. And, his whole purpose is that no peace treaty is valid if it was made with mental reservations that could lead to a future war. So the people who consider themselves educated study his definical articles, and it's basically a step-by-step way of maintaining your morality. And people love to consider him a moralist, and it basically is, look, there's going to be war, get ready for it. And it's not going to be avoidable. Honestly, that is what Immanuel Kant teaches. So they threw out, I wondered if the fear of God was a thing. And yes, it is. Theophobia is the dread of the wrath of God, a phobia of which God is the object. To me, it doesn't make sense, but to other people, they have a fear of it. So, but let's look at God names. Well, every culture, and I'm going to there's Pygmalion, he's in there, Nebuchadnezzar, Mordecai, Marduk, Mark. As I scroll slowly up here, is your name going to be in there? A Tobias or a Nehemiah, Micah, Josiah, Joseph, Jeremiah, Gabriel, all the names that are used around the world, Arya, Daniel, Elijah, in India, Shiva, Vishnu, all the names, because this is God's world. They had the gods in charge. What's this one here? Words that say, I wanted to find out words that mean hello and goodbye is a valediction. I decided to go with a valediction of the word ciao. Ciao. Ciao in Wikipedia is an informal salutation that is used for both hello and goodbye. And I love those words because when you trace them, like aloha and aho, they make more sense. And they mention that aloha is also, it's the whole same thing pronounced in Hawaiian, Persian. Ciao in Vietnamese is pronounced the same, but they don't want you to think that they're connected. They just sound familiar. It's a false cognate. No, all of these words used to be from a people who, when they talked, it was a greeting. Hello, aloha, elo, Elohim, aloha, aloha. It is the same, is like to God. Adeos means to God. Those are two words, Albanian, Bulgarian, Catalan, Czech, Dutch, goodbye, English, ciao, ciao, ciao.
Yeah, there's Finnish too. Ciao. Ciauki.
There you
What
go.
we say sometimes.
Hello and goodbye. It's the same deal. And that's really what, my big point of this whole afternoon show was, not only to, that did the rocks, showed that. Let me get my camera here. What the heck here? Everything is leading towards it's on right now. Everything is going down. The treaty just ended for the petrodollar. And now they're saying, Saudi Arabia saying, sorry, the status quo is over. And we're all, more proof on the languages of how recent the reset is, because they didn't have nations. But now that they have nations, they want everybody to sound like everybody else in the nation. That's seems natural, and we'll make fun of those who still have accents as hillbillies or anything. So I hope I helped your trip home. I know you helped me just being there, Barbara. Looking forward to Monday. But is there anything you want to add before we wrap this up?
No, not really, man. I just came to say hi. Hope for the best, prepare for the worst, folks. That's all I have
Amen.
to say. And I'll see you on Monday for the Bible study challenge.
And I believe the name of that, what was the name of that movie? Mindset or something. I think people should go back, look at that, and just realize, wait a minute. If anybody doubts that they were telling us the truth in the movies, and that a new movie to decode has just been added to the list, I don't know what they're waiting for or what more they expect. But again, the truth is going to come by knowing that it's a flat earth nation. The golden age is past because Mudflood was Armageddon. That's why me and my friends are never going to tell you anything else. I'm being very careful about my pronunciation, because we know that we have been, one, called, two, chosen, and three, are trying to be as faithful as possible by showing that we have your best interest at heart. Namaste. Aloha. Arrivederci. Ciao. Sayonara. Auf Wiedersehen. Goodbye.
And
Namake.
Nakamin.
Nakamin.
That's good. Thank you.
Hasta luego.